We're on the air.
All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Brian is not with us yet. He hopefully will be, but don't worry. We brought in a ringer who is another dude from Jersey who's got a beard. So, you know, if you don't pay that much attention, it's almost like the same person.
We're all interchangeable.
There we go. So we're going to do, let's see, Matt. I'm Matt.
This
Mike,
is Matt.
This is Matt. Matt is your name.
Matt. This is Matt, my friend Matt.
The reason why Matt is on, and this is going to be a thing we do this winter, where we bring on a series of people that know a lot more about hockey than we do. Because we were talking about this, about Mike, about how like we don't really know what we're talking about. So rather than try to fudge it, we're just going to bring on some people every now and then that know what they're talking about. Because we're going to have, so Matt's the first of what will probably be many sort of like hockey correspondents, if you will.
I'm here. So I'm here in the trenches reporting.
So do you want to start with that, or do you want to start with your football thing, Mike? I'll leave it up to you to choose your own adventure.
Let's start with hockey because Matt has a life and we don't, and we should let him get back.
Perfect. So Matt, I have one question for you, and then I'll let you just take it away and run with it. Which is the true or false? The Rangers are off to. And this is a very strong word in the sports world. They are off to what would be considered a historic start right now.
Historic? They're the best team in the history of the sports. End of segment.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
That's it.
I mean, I can't use the word historic to describe it when the Bruins are currently like on their second straight year of like on pace for the greatest record in the history of the regular season. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I can, in the history that to be honest, I think they're 17-4-1, not counting the game that's currently happening right now, which I left after the second period.
They're on?
Yeah.
He's a hardcore fan, guys.
Weird schedule this weekend. They played at 4 yesterday and 6 today. To be honest, I don't know where this one ranks in the history of like their first quarter of the season, you know, over the course of the entire franchise, but 17-4-1, I did not have them being, you know, maybe one of the best records in the league on my bingo card for this year. Certainly not.
And talking about the Bruins, they took down the Bruins last week in their own house, like right in front of everybody too. So that was kind of a big deal as well. Yep. And can you answer a question for me? And Mike and I did not know this. Maybe it's just me, the idiot, who didn't know. With hockey records, what's that last digit? There's like the wins, the losses, and then there's like points, or is it ties? What the fuck is that?
Overtime or shootout losses. So they are losses, but as part of the compromise, no more ties after the 04 lockout. They instituted the shootout, but if you go to overtime or a shootout and lose, you still get one pity point, whereas you used to get each team would get a point if you tied. Now if you win in overtime or a shootout, you get 2 points, and if you lose in overtime, you still get one.
So that last digit is a total of points from overtime.
No,
games?
17-4-1. They're technically 17-5, but one of them was a loss in overtime or a shootout. So you still get one. The standings in the NHL goes by points. You get 2 for a win, and so even though the ones at the very end are losses, you get one. You get one pity point.
So just for hanging in there. So it's like foreign soccer. Like you can play for a tie and still get something out of it.
Correct. Yeah. So like if 1 point would be nice in the standings, and it's like the last 5 minutes of a tie game, maybe don't do anything stupid. Maybe just kind of run the clock to get to overtime. Correct. Yeah. But
you get something.
Ties are un-American. We decided we didn't want.
Isn't hockey mostly like a non-American sport?
It doesn't matter. We took over and we demanded no more ties. So I don't know. We have a habit of doing that, I guess. So yeah. After it was in Game 3, the Rangers were up 2-0, and then something happened, and I think they got one even strength goal the entire rest of the series. And then last year against the Devils, up 2-0. It was like the first 2 games were a joke. They were complete domination, and then it was like squeezing blood from a stone the rest of the entire series. So
that has to be frustrating as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that you would say, well, that's got to be like they adjusted, you didn't adjust to their adjustment. You'd say that's a coaching failure if it happens twice. I mean, they're 2 great teams. I mean, there's no shame in losing either one of those teams, but for it to happen twice in a row, I was definitely ready to move on from Gallant. Yeah,
well, it's a tough shit rule.
This good, though.
In any bit job, whether it's sports or otherwise, if something that bad goes wrong when you're in charge, you lose your job. It's the tough shit rule. That's just life. You know what I mean? It's
not always. I think Nathaniel Hackett would have something to say differently about that.
So
we can't all be friends with Aaron Rodgers, I guess.
That's right.
So let me ask a very elementary question, because again, we don't really know what the hell we're talking about. When we designed the logo for Nosebleeders, there is a hockey puck in the logo, but we're not experts. So if someone's brand new to the sport, and
wait, is there?
Hey, I heard the Rangers were. I think there's a hockey puck in there, right? It's floating up.
Go ahead, I'll look.
Yeah, you look. So anyway,
into my screen, like,
if someone's brand new to it, and like someone like me, for instance, says to you, hey, I heard the Rangers are really good this year, all the other teams in New York suck, I'm looking for something to latch onto, what's like one player you would say that a casual fan can sort of latch onto to bring that entertainment value and to give them a reason to tune in?
One, certainly the Rangers, and the Rangers fans are very spoiled. Definitely the goalies. I mean, Henrik Lundqvist is like the hero of my early adult life. For like 15 years, he was the man. I mean,
he's someone that even I know who he is. So that's how I know he's an icon, at least in that sport, and definitely in this city.
Yeah, he was just the definition of a rock star. He was so good. He was so competitive. He was one of those guys who, I mean, he had an aura, just like with the suits and the good looks, and he played the guitar on the Tonight Show. He was just like, he drove the fancy Maseratis, and he always looked like $1 million. He was like, so that's kind of how I got into the sport. I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't really watch hockey until I got to college, and then I became like obsessed with it.
Okay.
And then like when I saw Henrik, I was like, I want to play. I want to be a goalie, and I still am to this day.
Yeah, he's huge because I remember right around when Derek Jeter was retiring, a lot of people were saying, well, now who's the guy in New York? Who's the icon of this city? And a lot of people were saying, no, it's this guy. It's Henrik. Yeah. He's the guy who's taken the torch from Jeter as sort of like the top athlete representing the city.
Yeah.
And for a period of time, I think he was.
Yeah. After Jeter and David Wright left, there weren't too many guys who had been in the city for like 12 plus years, and for him to be there for like 15 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's not too many lifers, like especially in today's era with free agency and everything. So like definitely it was Henrik, and then now their goalie Igor Shesterkin is almost as good. I mean, both goalies have a thing where like if you become a fan of the team, eventually you hate the team because you realize you like the player so much. And their goalie's one of those. It's like being a pitcher on a bad team. Like it was kind of like being a Mets fan years ago. Like DeGrom is so good, I hate this team for constantly letting him down and screwing him over.
Exactly.
And with the Rangers, with the goalies over the past like 20 years, very, very similar. You like by the end of like the 2000s, you're like, I hate this team. I mean, I love them, but it's like, God, I hate them for like, we could have gone to we were one goal away here. Like, what more do you want the goalies to do? So it's like, that's the mark of a real star. If they make you hate your own team just because of how they're letting down like one player on the team. So yeah, it's, so if I had to pick a guy, definitely Shesterkin is unbelievably good. He's he's the man. He's great. I would pick him. I'm biased. I love goalies, but I'd pick him.
I think Phil. I think you're muted. Could you hear Phil?
Sorry, no, my bad. I had my mic. I was burping, so I turned my mic off for a minute. I was going to ask another question.
Phil does that a lot. He burps.
I drink a lot of seltzer. That's why.
Seltzer, yeah.
So I would wonder this: is it so? Obviously, the Rangers are off to a very hot start. Yeah. Who are the other teams in the league that you would see as the main threats to them right now? We already mentioned Boston. Is there any other teams where it's like when they're matched up, you kind of watch out, like, oh shit, this is going to be a big game on Saturday, or what? Who are those kind of teams right now?
I mean, Boston's easily the best. It's funny. The Rangers are going to go. My dad loves to do this. He would I never pay attention to this, but Dad will constantly text me like, if the playoffs started today, this is who we'd match up against. And I'm like, it's December. Like, I don't care.
I'm one of those guys too, actually.
Yeah. So I've never been one of those guys who I don't pay attention to that until like the end of the year. But you'd be like, if the playoffs started today, they're really struggling lately. The Tampa Bay Lightning would be the team we'd match up against. And from a standing standpoint, that would be like a total mismatch. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are just coming off of like 3 straight trips to the finals, and they won 2 of them. They're one of those. So the Rangers at some point, if they keep this up, they're probably going to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the conference, and they're going to get matched up against some team that's going to sneak in like at the bottom, like Tampa Bay or the Penguins or some. If the Devils, get their shit together, and they're going to match up against one of those teams who won't have a record that's nearly as good as them. But once the playoffs start, like it's a whole different game. It doesn't matter as much. Like the regular season goes out the window, and you're going to have to defeat guys who only as recently as last year or 2 years ago were like one of the best teams in the league. So Boston like scares me. Like that would be like a tough one. But to be honest, like there's really no cupcake rides in the. Oh, there we go. We got the.
Rangers are.
You could just pull it up on your actual computer, Mike, and put it full screen. You could. I guess the thing that's weird about hockey to me anyway, as somebody who doesn't follow it all that closely, is correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't like more than half the league actually make the playoffs or something like that?
Yeah, it's like basketball where it's like 16 teams make it, and then there's only 32 now. So yeah, the
playoffs are 3 months long.
Games, man. You got to win. Yeah, the playoffs are like a solid 2 months. You got to win 4. Best of 7 series. It's brutal. So and every year like last year in the playoffs, a lot of great teams went home nice and early. So it's all
right.
Yeah, there's been. I mean, if the Toronto Maple Leafs have had one of the best regular season teams every single year for like 8 years, and they've been out of the first round of the playoffs 1 time. And it's like every single year, like the whole city goes into a complete meltdown. It's like I can't believe like we have to wait 1 more year again to try this again. And it's like. Yeah, one of these years they should have done it, but also like it's brutal. It's so hard. Like even the Rangers, I know they haven't won since '94, but like they've had some deep playoff runs. They've consistently made it. I mean, there's teams that are struggling to get out of the first round. I mean, it's brutal. The playoffs are rough, man.
So last hockey question before we move on to Mike's thing. What would you, in your opinion, would be a disappointment for this season in terms of how deep of a run the Rangers do make?
I don't know. It would probably just be. It would be disappointing if the team feels different than it did last year. Last year was frustrating because it was they really wanted. They traded 2 first-round picks for 2 veteran guys at the deadline. They went up 2-0. It really didn't work. They didn't get much production from like a lot of the younger guys who they're counting on. Artemi Panarin, it was kind of the second straight really disappointing playoff for him. And now this year, Panarin's on fire. He's off to like the best start of his entire career. He's a monster. A lot of like Alexis Lafreniere, who was the top pick a few years ago, after three years of like really being like, this guy's not working out. He's finally off to a really good start. So if the Rangers like lose in the first or second round, it would be a disappointment. But like if they lose in 7 in the second round to Boston or somebody, it'd be like that sucks. But they're a great team.
Okay.
If they lose because like the same like Panarin doesn't have a lousy playoff. If the team goes up 2-0 and then gets dominated again, it's the same thing as the last few years. That would be a big disappointment, I think. Shit happens in the playoffs. Like it's very very hard to win
any sport. Small sample size. I get that. No, for sure. I like this. So Matt, thanks for popping in. You can hang out with us for Mike's rant, or you can go if you got to go. I mean, it's up to you. I'll leave it up to you. But we're gonna hop over now to Mike. You and I had a conversation.
We did
earlier in the week that you are excited about. One Tommy DeVito, Mr. TD. His initials are TD, which is very funny.
It's right.
As an Italian in Jersey, you feel very represented by the fact that we've got a local Italian guy that you may or may not have done a shot of Jaeger with at a local bar earlier in your life unknowingly before he was in the NFL. Who knows, right? So tell us about your emotions on this, Mike, because I know you're kind of getting excited, even though it's the bye week for the Giants.
Yeah.
Talk about your feelings.
That's the best time for Giants fans right now to get excited. Bye weeks right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the only time we're allowed to be excited.
You're not wrong.
Not wrong. So we talked last week on the show, and we were joking about what is Tommy DeVito's post-career going to be, and it's going to be autograph signings at a Friendly's parking lot at a classic car show and stuff like that, signing autographs at a Denny's and different things like because it's your hometown, it's representative of your team. There was a time when you would have the same players every year, so they became part of your community. Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Duke Schneider. These were New Yorkers, not even if they were from somewhere else. These were, New Yorkers by default, and they would be there forever. So now, when you have a local kid like Anthony Volpe, I think Adam Fox is a New York guy, upstate New York or something, like he's on the Rangers.
He's from Long Island, I think.
He's from Long Island, yeah. So, and now with Tommy DeVito being the local kid, it's nice to have this because it's like it's one of us. And it's not that he's not just a fan; he's there. Even Jeter grew up a Yankee fan because he was originally from Jersey. His grandmother lived in Jersey.
The other Dylan Betances for the Yankees, and then also the Mets was
from the Bronx.
Yeah. And who's the other guy?
Todd Frazier.
The other reliever who went to the Mets. He went to the Red Sox and then the Mets. He was the lefty.
Ottavino.
Yes, he's also a local Italian boy. So yeah, you're right. All right, Mike. There is an extra layer when you get some local fucking Italian kid, just from the fucking block
doing the hands.
It's so funny that I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I'm a super fan of the show. I think The Sopranos is mostly to blame, and we're being Italian just became like a meme, like on the internet. Like all the guy has to do to be funny and beloved is to just like it was just a picture of Tommy DeVito with the chain that says TD in like a wife beater with like a vague like background and like it went viral.
Headband.
They were like, this looks like it looks like an extra from The Sopranos. It looks like a frame from the show. It's just an Italian guy standing there.
Yeah. It looks like a meme. Beater. You nailed it, because I don't know if you know this, but if you go on Wikipedia, because I was trying to read about him because I didn't know anything about him. His main picture is that picture. It's him with his black wife beater. It's like this is like the guinea tease. Somebody put it up and nobody changed it. They're like, nope, this is perfect. This is exactly the academic referential picture we're going to use for this.
But he's really embracing it. He's really embracing it too. He loves it. Of course. The other players are doing this. I mean, we have Anthony Rizzo, who's Italian, and he's embraced it to a degree, but he doesn't have the same kind of vibe. And look, obviously we know not everybody's the stereotype. but Tommy DeVito is just all in on who he is, and we appreciate it, and it's a lot of fun, even though the Giants stink. At least there's this kid that we could appreciate. So we have Lynch sanity, we have DeVito sanity. That's
at least it's fun, and it really is like
what a weird comparison.
It's something at least
DeVito
like,
sanity.
It's like it really is funny because it's like a fun little thing, and like in 10 years, like remember that time Tommy DeVito was signing wife beaters at a deli? But like
sign my sandwich. Sign the salami. Yeah,
exactly. But it is actually, it's even funnier when you contrast it with like what's going on, like the backdrop for New York football right now. Like we're so desperate for like anything to be fun that like Tommy DeVito is signing pictures at a deli after like he threw 3 touchdowns in one game. He had one nice game. He's like instantly like the most popular quarterback who's currently healthy to play. Like it just shows you like what an oasis he is in the desert of like in one game.
It's so bad.
After watching Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle and like
today was the
Daniel Jones. It's
I just remember because I other than the Giants with their one playoff victory last year, I was talking because I work with people who are a little older than me, and the question we were pondering was the worst era for New York football. Was it the 70s or was it the late 2010s? It's a damn toss-up of a question.
It's my dad still talks about the 70s like it's garden for life, and it might have. The Pisarcik fumble is like one of the defining moments that like that was like his Vietnam. Like he sees it when he closes his eyes at night. And I think we're close. Like between It's rough. If it wasn't for Tommy Coldcut, I think they might be there. Like
Tommy
Coldcut. Tommy Coldcut might be playing the Giants out of like a lottery pick, which is hilarious.
How many? Let me ask another question. How many guys do you think? Because Mike, we talked about this a little bit. He's very like identifiable for what you think of when you think of Central Jersey. With the like you mentioned, Matt, too, like the wife beater and the big chain and all this. How many dudes do you think go to like the local LA Fitness or whatever, and they see him on TV and they think to themselves like, I just got to do a few more goddamn push-ups. I can do it.
All of them.
He's just like me. He's a townie Italian, just like me. Like I feel like there's something identifiable that people
totally.
Well, yeah,
totally. This is a victory for anybody who's Italian in New Jersey. We're all on the Giants. We're all on the Giants
town. You can still make it. Tommy DeVito is the proof.
We're all on the Giants right now. So it really is I just know from my experience and my family, you see an Italian guy who reminds you of somebody from Brooklyn, somebody it's like one of us is there. So you can learn a little bit about, not to go off on a whole tangent, but you can learn a little bit about representation, something we're dealing with in this country. And in this scale, in this thing, even on a small scale, it's like, it's somebody like I would know, and they're playing on the Giants. So, it's fun to see and it's exciting, but they stink.
Mike, can you shed, as the most Italian person here, can you, not that that's a high bar to clear,
no.
Can you shed some light on, if I had to boil it down to one thing, like why, like people will make like funny Twitter posts like, I love The Sopranos, I wish Italians were real, like stuff like that. Can you shed some light on like, what is it about? If I had to boil it down to one thing, it's just that anything sounds funny when you say it like a New York or New Jersey Italian. It's just, and it goes back to like Scorsese movies and the Sopranos. There's just, if you say anything with that thick, like, get the fuck out of here, like even like people at work, people will do an impression of like my boss, like, hey, I talked to Paulie and he said, and they just do like a thick accent, and it's just you funny. You just start laughing.
I'm trying to think like the saddest thing that you can think of. Like, when the plane hit those fucking towers, you know what I'm saying? It was just like kaboom, like it's you're right. You can make almost anything funny with that accent.
No, it's kind of just a character. It's a no nonsense kind of guy. It's a local neighborhood guy. Nothing seems to bother him. I think people like, why do people like gangster movies? Because they do the things that we only wish we could do. Not kill people, but like
some part of us wants to.
Some part of us there, Mike.
Yeah, some people we want rubbed out. It's
come on.
But it's that toughness. The one thing about our country is that we always look in the face of somebody who appears tougher and say, "You're nothing." So it's the underdog story, I guess.
I think it's just there's something about Italian, there's a certain macho bravado that comes with like that whole New Jersey, New York Italian thing, and it definitely even just like Mike, you've definitely seen 25th Hour, right?
Yeah.
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
When he does the whole thing where he's like going down the list of everything he hates about all the different New York boroughs and every different culture.
The
and when he
people,
gets to the
yeah.
and when he gets to the Bensonhurst Italians, then it's just a bunch of guys doing exaggerated, like, who is this guy? Get the fuck out! Like they all get their St. Anthony medallions and their Louisville Slugger bats, and I just start laughing instantly. There's just something so funny about the exaggerated, like, and obviously people talk like that, but there's just something about it that's so effortlessly funny, and I don't really know what to chalk that up to.
I don't know either. I'm sure you know, and your family would know. I mean, the people I knew from Brooklyn, the people who were friends with my parents and stuff like that, is they're more like, not that, they're more like a guy like Ray Romano, or they're more like what's the guy who just died, Alan Arkin. Just typical New Yorkers. Not even Italian, just typical everyday New Yorkers. Remember the guy Fred on Seinfeld who kept forgetting who Elaine was? I met him. Such a typical average New Yorker. So it's
there's something about the New York.
They're more like that.
Yeah, there's definitely like a certain element of like New York Italian or New York Jewish, like a certain there's a certain personality that's just. But I mean, and it's literally like global. Side Talk New York became like the biggest thing on the internet just by putting a microphone in front of people from New York and having them go, fuck out of here. That's literally all it is. It's brilliant. It's the greatest thing on the internet.
You make a good point, because there is something, and I notice it when I travel around the country, or even when I'm home in like rural Connecticut, to where the fact that like I've lived here for long enough to where by osmosis I've absorbed some of sort of that, like, I don't want to say toughness, but I want to say that straightforwardness of like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm fucking thinking right now, and you need to fucking calm the fuck down right now. There's that directness, I think, that earns the respect of a lot of other cultures throughout the country and the world. And I think that that Italian accent, that Brooklyn, Jersey Italian accent, is very closely associated with that. So I think definitely what you're saying, there's some truth to that.
Yeah,
I think we're. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, the last thing I was going to say is that, you know what it is? It's the fact that where we live, and people talk about sports, it's like, oh, I don't want to play in New York. It's tough. It's toxic. Why do they trash the players?
Well, you're a little bitch then. You can't handle it.
But that's what it is. It's like we don't have time. We're so busy. Everything is so fast moving. There's no time for excuses. And it's the capital of the planet. Everything has to be the best. So I don't think there's anything wrong with striving to be the best. I don't think there's anything wrong with passing the excuses or making things tough. Could we be a little nicer? Yeah, but it's not going to happen. So fuck off.
No.
Forget about it.
You got to earn that respect.
Exactly. You know what's funny is Henrik Lundqvist, just to circle back, beautifully ties a bow on what I said at the beginning. Henrik Lundqvist, I was recently listening to him talk on a podcast he has, and he said the reason he loved playing in New York was because it was like, they cared. They really cared. They were super passionate, but everyone was so busy and like had so much shit to do that like people would recognize you on the street, but it's like they wouldn't really stop you and like bog you down. It wasn't like a gigantic deal. They had stuff to do. Everyone was in a hurry. Everyone was in a rush. Everyone was like, they would be like, hey,
even the lunatics.
Like, move on.
They'd be like, yo, Henry, good save, brother, and then they just move on. That's it.
That's it.
It's like they don't have time for you, and it's kind of like a fun little humbling. Like you have your own time. You can kind of be your own person, but they are super passionate and they care. So that's so funny.
Speaking of running out of time, I think right now. Yeah. So I was just texting Brian. I think right now we'll cut this off right here. We're going to take 5. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to this on the audio version, all the rest of this is on YouTube that we do afterward, and a lot of this is video stuff that doesn't make sense. So definitely check us out on there. But otherwise, thanks for checking it out. Thanks for listening, people.
Thanks, Matt. We'll see you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, we'll do this again sometime later in the season. We'll see if any of what you said comes true and stuff. I'd love to have you in the future.
I'll FaceTime from the Stanley Cup parade.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, man. Peace out. Have a good one.
So, Brian, you are, first of all, welcome back. Second of all, you are just younger enough than me and Mike where you may or may not have missed this ad from your childhood. They used to run this fucker on like Saturday morning cartoons. For some reason, they'd be advertising Right Guard. And so this commercial, I vividly remember, and I was very excited to find it and send it to Mike so we could play it. I don't know if you might remember this. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Either way, just cue it. Just cue it, Mike. We're going to do it.
Yep, hold on.
Oh, Barkley.
One goes forth to unearth new treasures. One mustn't let primordial perspiration match with one's style. Consider this discovery. Right guard, pure power, clear gel, and
I feel like I do remember this.
Unastoundingly clear gel. Thus, it goes on clear without any flaky white stuff. After all, when it comes to protection, one shouldn't mess around. Right guard, clear gel. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Uncivilized.
When I heard, by the way,
tagline,
that woman, there's so much history between those two, like the woman and Charles Barkley, because when he was like, when it comes to protection, you shouldn't mess around, and she rolled her eyes, like coming from the guy who never uses a condom every time. Like that's kind of that was the eye roll. That was what her eye roll was giving me. She's like, okay,
Charles,
Mister, I'll just Mister, just the tip. Like I was like, oh damn, look at her again.
Look at Charles, come on.
But also, I want to say that last line that you repeated there.
Is it? Yeah, sorry, go ahead,
Mike. Where you were saying anything less to be uncivilized. This was a whole series of commercials that we're going to do on the show eventually. They had like Scottie Pippen in one. They had a couple other athletes in some of these other ones. That was like their tagline in the early 90s was anything less than right guard would be uncivilized, which I think is pretty funny. Also, I wanted to point out they put what looks like a decent amount of budget into this commercial because they had to build a whole like Indiana Jones looking fucking set with like the lighting effects and the costumes. Like this is a hilarious commercial.
Definitely had like Brendan Fraser, the Mummy vibes.
The Mummy, he's dressed just like Sean Connery in Indiana Jones 3 as the father. So they must have just gave him his costume.
I'm still just like, I don't get why she rolled her eyes, because that was the one. Because as soon as he said protect, that's what my mind's obviously in the gutter. But as soon as he said protection, like when it comes to protection, you better not mess around. And she's like,
wait, what does he say? Clear without any flaky white stuff. After all, when it comes to protection, one shouldn't mess around. Right guard.
That is kind of like,
what is she rolling her eyes for?
When it comes to protection, one shouldn't mess around. And why would they cut to the woman, a beautiful woman?
Why is she even there, by the way?
Yeah,
like, she's just there to make fun of him. Like,
she got there first. Look, she's already. He walks in. She's like, behind. Oh, she walked past. Okay. Wait,
she rolls her eyes like you still smell like ass, Charles. Like that's
Why would right guard
or not? You don't shower.
Why is a right guard in a pyramid? It's a treasure.
It's the grand treasure. It's like the most valuable thing. Like I get what they were going for in this commercial. I've always found this to be funny.
I don't get her sass. I don't get her sass or her side eye. Like I have no idea how that.
It's like, very suggestive. It's
very suggestive. It's very you feel like there's like a sexual chemistry between them. He's like, you're gonna
fellas, you put on right guard, you might get the hottie. You know, it's like something like that. You know, or
which is
whatever.
How Axe sold.
All
of their products.
That's their whole entire campaign.
They tricked a bunch of middle school boys into thinking that they would get their first hand job if they just doused themselves in the Axe in the locker room.
Yeah, you smell like deodorant, bro.
The biggest con of the early aughts, you know.
There we go. I will say one thing about Axe. They had good hair care products. Anyway, moving along to the next thing. That was fun, by the way. I really enjoyed that. And it did take me 30 years to figure out there was sexual tension there. That's how much of a fucking dork I am.
All right. We didn't know those kids. Yeah.
Moving along to the next thing here. We have, are we doing the movie trailer or are we doing the
movie trailer? Yeah, let's do the movie trailer.
So I don't know if you guys saw this or watched this, but again, our show is not a political show.
Not really.
No. We all have our individual opinions on, but we don't. You know, I don't tell people how to think. I don't care, whatever. It's your life. But
same. Yeah.
There is a movie that came out a few days ago, I guess. I'm not going to pay to watch it because you have to. It's on the Daily Wire, which I'm not going to pay for. Ben Shapiro is a failed screenwriter who finally got to make a movie. And here is the trailer for this movie. Basically, this is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, start with the.
Here.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed.
Get it? Transformed?
The Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
Triggering lives. We're badass.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
Maybe you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
Hey, you don't know how he identifies.
If you can beat them,
What do you know about the U.S. Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
join them.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So a guy can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice!
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach, Alex, we could play basketball.
We'd have to get the whole team back together.
It's time
We're in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
to play
Lady Balders.
Man up.
like a girl.
That's right. I'm with her.
I'm in my truth. This is my truth.
From heroes
Day one of being a girl athlete. I love being a girl.
to sheroes.
We could dominate every woman's sport. Running, swimming, soccer. I said sport, Felix.
America.
It's ladies basketball, boys. Nobody watches.
Excuse me. Are these seats open?
Pause it. Never mind.
What? Yeah, you gotta pause it. We gotta pause it.
We need to talk about this for a second. Okay, we need to talk about this, man. Listen, the right is so obsessed with trying to make like Ted Cruz into like a witty badass when he's not at all.
He's the worst.
He's the biggest loser ever.
Republicans hate him.
Yeah, he's the one that because like there are like all politicians are like notorious booze hounds, but like apparently like Ted Cruz is like the wet blanket of the group from like what I hear. So like Ted just sucks. You ever see him like when he tries to like pretend that he's watching like fucking like a Longhorns game and he's like in his beer and he's like, yeah, just me being an average American, and it's like, okay, you talk like you're
Did you ever see him show up at Yankee Stadium when they were playing against the Astros?
Yes.
That's one of my favorite videos of all time.
Yeah.
He got the shit booed out of him. And then he had the audacity to be like, I got nothing but love at Yankee Stadium, like in an interview, like an hour later. It's like, bro, we have the game tape. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Getting dunks. And tucking trunks.
No, she didn't. That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
I don't care.
Lady ballers.
Gotta get that.
One can even be trans age now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
Streaming exclusively on Daily Wire Plus December 1st.
But it's just so shameless of them, like really just being like, the sad thing about this, and I may get some flack for this, is like if it was a movie about dumb guys who thought they could get away with being women if they just lied about being women, and the joke was completely on them instead of like the fucking agenda they're going to be pushing. I mean, it doesn't look like a great comedy, but there may be some hope for it. They seem like they copied all like the beats of like a raunchy like early.
You know what movie they copied? They copied Joanna Man.
I was about to say that too. Me and my brother used to watch Joanna Man all the time, and that's
there was something familiar about it. I'm watching. I'm like, this has the feel of a '90s comedy, but it's so obnoxious and just hateful that it's also just like it's not like a premise that's breaking ground at all. South Park, I think, did an episode about like this like basic. Here's the other thing I have to say. Just I think in terms of, there's always the argument that when you're talking about like transgender athletes, that people will transition, men will transition it into women
just so they can win championship.
No other reason.
And I know that's not true, because if that was true, Michael Jordan would have transitioned to a woman to have beat everyone in the WNBA. That's how much Michael Jordan loves winning. Is he would have done that on purpose. All you would have had to do,
all the men.
Tell Michael Jordan that he could never be a woman and that he could never win in the WNBA. And if he does that, which he is psychotic enough to do that, then you may have an argument. But other than that, until Michael Jordan transitions into the WNBA just so he can win because he's that addicted to winning, then I don't buy that argument at all.
Who played Joanna Man? Was it Affion Crockett, the comedian?
I have no idea. It was some
famous
black person from the early 2000s. But you know what I think would be funny though? If someone actually if a bunch of idiot rednecks actually tried to do this in real life and then they ended up losing to the women's team anyway. That would be funny, because I don't think there'd be anything more humiliating than that.
And that's a good place to if the movie was making fun of these morons for trying to be women, but then failing at doing so.
Right.
Then
that'd be funny. That's the funniest thing you can do.
Yeah, that is the funniest thing you can do in that situation. But they're just so obviously pushing their agenda that it's beyond.
It's so
especially watching Ted Cruz. Especially watching Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is genuinely triggering to me, not because he can get one over on me, but because I don't understand how people try to push him as this this intellectual titan. Dude, you give me a mic and give him a mic, I will lay him the fuck out if you actually have him debate someone like me. He's not that smart. He's just a fucking wannabe badass who fucking thinks I'm gonna trigger the lubes. Dude, you're a dork. You're a dork, and that's all you'll ever be. My issue isn't with the fact. Hold on, one more thing. Yeah. My issue isn't with the fact that they made a movie about this, and you can make a movie about anything. You're free to do that. But my problem is that they're hacks. This is a hack fucking premise. Yeah. This is a hack and a half premise.
It's such a hack premise. It's just so bad. But when you had the dumb guy being so I could be a woman on the court, but a man in the sheets. I'm stressing this point too much, but if you made the joke about these dumb guys and stressed the point that they're idiots, then that would be much funnier than being isn't this gender? This is just basically them trying to be it's them trying to do not another teen movie through the lens of fucking DeSantis. It's so bad.
My question is, Mike, you go first. Sorry.
I was going to say that what Brian is saying is spot on, because it could have had the premise of a movie that teaches a lesson. It could have been very pro-trans. If these guys were idiots and they didn't understand what it was like to be trans, and they went through this process, and we saw how stupid they are. And at the end they go, oh, we were so ignorant about what being trans is. They learn a lesson. Then I could see the movie having some kind of purpose. But this is just, it's a movie. It's a hate movie. And anything... It's hating.
Wait, Mike, you mean to tell me that a movie where the trailer begins with a 6'3" guy body slamming a woman has hate in it? What? Hold on. Wait a minute now.
It's punching down. It's at bare minimum. It's punching down.
And that's why it's fucking hack. And look, another thing I looked up too, just to see if there were any reviews on it. Not many people have watched this, probably because no one's going to pay for the Daily Wire just to review this. No. But on Rotten Tomatoes, there's a 97% audience score, which means a bunch of idiot little Ben Shapiro incel fans all went on there and this is the best movie ever, even if they didn't watch it, just to fucking try to prove that point and to try to jam that cultural victory across. And it's bro, you guys are not the cool kids. You're never gonna be. You don't have any real artists. You have what? Who do they have on that? They have Tim Allen and fucking Kid Rock and Roseanne. It's they don't have a deep bench entertainment wise, and movie trailers like this just sort of stress that point.
Yeah, they should have that Charles Barkley commercial with Ben Shapiro as Indiana Jones, but he finds out how to make his wife come. That. He finds out the secret to finally doing that.
He'll never find it out. Yeah.
Well, and the treasure is just a vibrator, and then a one-way plane ticket for him to leave. That would be. Yeah.
There's more we could say. I know there was a great segment on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah with a trans athlete, and she was describing it has nothing to do with your gender. It has to do with your weight class and your size. So, if there's little dudes, out there who couldn't stack up physically to, like, I don't know, a bigger woman who's whatever sport, it's size and strength.
But also it's like I also just don't buy the argument that like that most male athletes will just decide to completely become a woman, like go through hormone therapy, like start like wearing dresses around their friends back home.
It doesn't work that way.
To get like, brutally made fun of. Like, I don't expect they would go through all of that just to win a championship. Like, that's absurd. And if there are people like that willing to do that, then they deserve a fucking championship. If you're willing to change your gender so you can come home with a trophy, you should get a participation trophy at the most.
You're going through all that surgery. Yeah,
you are the type of sociopath. You are a Michael Jordan sociopath that will do anything to win.
Yeah, no, I want to add on to that point, actually, Brian, because you're right. Because the thing is, you think about the right always likes to try to present like transism, if that's even a word, as like this scourge that's like taking over society, and they're forcing all your kids to do it. And it's like, nah, dude, it's 0.2% of the population. So of that 0.2% of the population, how many of that 0.2 are athletes, and how many of that 0.2 would go through that to do this? And so they're taking something that doesn't really have a statistical basis in reality and making a really hacky movie out of it.
Well, it's all logic. We know in joke writing, if there's a logic flaw in the joke, it's just not going to make sense. And this movie's obviously filled with logic flaws. Now, if you're just uncomfortable with people, that's your own issue. You got to work out. But just from a factual point of view, you can't just put a wig on and say, "Oh, I'm gender fluid." Like, it doesn't. People who we know from the comedy scene, at least, who are gender fluid or non-binary, they didn't just.
Well, that's just so they can get booked more, but that's a different conversation.
That's it.
So Phil's gonna be in a Daily Wire sequel.
One thing I will say about this movie, one thing I'll say about this trailer anyway, is that I will say they edited the trailer to make it look like a 90s 2000s comedy movie. Like it had like the cuts and the music and the the weird puns and it had the right pacing. So there's somebody who works there who kind of knows how to edit, but that's pretty much that's where my praise begins and ends for this fucking piece of garbage trailer.
It's so bad.
I have nothing else to add to this. If you guys have any more thoughts,
it's garbage. Garbage. You can call me a libtard up and down. I don't give a shit. I'll defend the trans people any day. That trailer's garbage.
Yeah, garbage. I mean, like, and it doesn't like you also you don't when you're trying too hard to push an agenda. Then like I don't care what it is. It's not
try hard. That's the word I needed, Brian. Sorry to cut you off. This trailer. It's try hardy. Keep going. Sorry.
No, that's basically all I have to say.
What you said in our chat. It's got to be funny to get the point across, and this clearly isn't. It's just mean.
Yeah.
So, and there's no point anyway. So there's nothing to get across.
All right, enough of those losers.
All right.
All right. Let's move on to the brawl. We got a brawl. Mike, you got a brawl to queue up. Let's do it.
So this just happened tonight. We're gonna throw it up here. 49ers Eagles. 49ers Eagles and Tommy DeVito fans. You're going to appreciate this because there's an Italian involved in this. Let's take a look.
Okay.
All right. So forgive some of the quality because I had to mash this up quickly. I have pulled it from somewhere.
All right.
Okay. So as you can see here, they body slam.
Okay.
The guy gets body slammed down. Now the guy 57 to 49ers, I forget his name, Dre something. If you noticed, he pushed the face in of this guy on the sidelines with the Eagles. The guy on the sidelines is the head of the Eagles security, and he has a hat on with a little Italian flag on the side.
What?
It's like this
guy.
Yeah. Look at it. Here's a close up.
Takes two guys to take him down, which I respect the hell out of that.
Body slams him, so it's green law. And now look, here's the guy breaking up. He's head of security. He touches his face, shoves him in the face.
Well, I gotta see that again.
So what? Here's the body slam. Boom. Over the top. This game, it was fights the whole game. These are the best two teams in the league, obviously. But this, look, he's got the Italian patch on the arm. And now look, you're going to see, oh, why would you do that to security? And an Italian guy wearing Italian flags as security.
Yeah, that guy fucking, he knows people, okay? He knows people back in Patterson and Jersey City. He can have you taken care of. That's not a good move, my dude.
Look at. Right? Like, why are you touching his face? Period. And he's like, oh, so what they did was Greenlaw got disqualified. He got thrown out in the NFL.
Oh,
he
for
got
sure.
Disqualified. Yeah. So, Dre Greenlaw, personal foul. He got thrown out of the game. And they also told the security guy, for some reason, to leave. Look at this guy. He's got the Italian horn chain on. He's got the earpiece.
Everyone doing the Italian.
They got the flags
really
on.
Trying to cash in on that.
And they asked him.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to steal the thunder from the Giants.
The Giants have no thunder right now.
So yeah, the linebacker. And by the way, is it me or linebackers getting smaller and smaller? Because Lawrence Taylor was never this small. This guy looks, on camera at least, he appears small. I'm sure he's a big dude in real life. I'm not stupid, but like he's smaller than the security guard. Which is, how many fights we watch for securities, these teeny tiny dudes. This is a football player. He's smaller than the security guard and he's touching his face. Like, what are you trying to accomplish here? Look at it. This is crazy. So they asked, I'll fast forward. This is just conversation, a lot of replay.
I want to see that little boop. That was the thing that I thought was funny about that was just the level of disrespect that it takes to do that to another grown man. Little thing on the face.
I think his name. I'm trying to find his name. The announcers were saying Kevin Burkhardt was the announcer, Jersey guy, by the way. He was saying he's the most popular guy in Philly right now. So, even as a Giants fan, I got to give this guy props. Look at it. They love him. There's a lot of Italians in Philly. They love him, but they made him leave, I guess, just to prevent any kind of whatever from happening, any kind of whacking on the field.
Philly is the kind of city where you get kicked out and you get a stand and go for it.
Of course.
The hell out of that. Yeah.
Oh no, this guy is a hero in Philly right now. Let's see this one more time. Hold on.
Yeah, I want to see the face boop. Where was that at?
I'm trying to scroll back here. Okay, wait.
Oh, wait. Nope.
It's coming out. It's going to come out. It's a bad angle. So it's coming up. Boop. Right under his nose and his lip. He hits him.
Yeah, was he trying to punch him or was he trying to do like the grab him by the chin, like the hey, you listen to me, motherfucker? Like, what was the?
It doesn't look like a punch. It looks like almost like a disrespectful, like kind of.
Yeah.
Like you're adorable, you gabagool.
That's pretty much what he said. But
yeah, no, it's not a punch. It's not a punch because he went back up and like nobody punches like that. So no, that's all right.
He's smaller than the bodyguard. It's just shocking to me. Why would you mess with him? I don't know.
It's like, you got pads on. I guess you feel.
Dre Greenlaw would definitely be able to take Frank the Tank over here. Like that's. I mean, like that's.
I don't know. After a couple beers, I feel like it'd be an even fight.
The thing about Italians is that you don't have to win a fight by yourself. You can call people to win the fight for you. So.
If you lose round one, you can go call your people to cut somebody's brake lines or something. Like Italians know how to fucking throw down in both life and in the street for sure.
Italians are like, okay, all right, and then they disappear and you don't see them again. But something will happen to you.
Yes, exactly.
I ain't fighting, but I know someone who will.
All right, I'm gonna get to my rating right away, Mike. This was adorable, but I give it like a 1.5. There wasn't really even a brawl here. It was just some kind of like disrespect. It was kind of funny. It was pretty entertaining. 1.5. Whatever. We had some Italian jokes. We had a good time, but it was nothing really happened other than that. Nobody got punched. No fans threw any beers on the field. No chairs got thrown. The cops didn't show up.
Nobody in riot gear.
Yeah, like exactly. No pepper spray. 1.5 from Phil. Brian, what do you got?
I will just, you know what? I guess I'll give it a 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it a and it's good. This just happened. Like, it's amazing this just happened because I was watching. I was with my family and I came back here. I was watching this game. Like, I was watching the 49ers Eagles game.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't know that this just happened. So, like, I guess good call, Mike, for, like, spotting this and, like, putting it on the pod right away. But Yeah, I mean, like the body slam was pretty legit. The body slam gets like a 7 or an 8. Like that was like legit. But like I would have liked some punches thrown. Like if he would have knocked him out, if Greenlaw would have knocked out just the Jersey Mike Sub over there, then
Jersey Mike Sub. Yeah.
Then that would have been amazing. That would have got like honestly brought it to like a 9 or a 10. I would have been like, amazing.
Yeah, give us
like,
something. Give us a shove. Give us a racial slur, something.
But it's like the tap on the face was so like
pretty funny.
I was like, that's what you got thrown out for? Like that's what you got like all like his teammates in the locker room are gonna be like, dude, that was the lamest reason to get kicked out of any game whatsoever. That's the lamest personal foul ever. If you're gonna get a personal foul, you gotta like break that guy's jaw.
Yeah, you're gonna make it worth it. 4 from Brian. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, well, as far as Italian points go on a scale from 1 to 10, 11, obviously. Quick note: the security guard's name is Big Dom DeSandro. So, already he's my favorite person of the year next to Tommy DeVito and Volker.
Yeah, no, that's